Zombie apocalypse.
Hello everyone, welcome back to EcoTalks. In today's session, we'll continue with the part of microeconomics. In this session, I'll cover the theory of demand and theory of consumer behavior in that cardinal approach. So let us start with theory of demand. The purpose of theory of demand was to determine the various factors that affect demand. The main purpose was establishment of law of demand, that is, the market demand is inversely related to the price. But this is the misleading concept because it concentrates only on the price, that is, it is the sole determinant of demand. But in actual, demand is the has a multivariate relationship, that is, it can be determined by many factors simultaneously. Some of the most important determinants of market demand are: first is the own price, that is, own price of the product we have considered. Second is the consumer's income. Then prices of other commodities like substitutes, complementary products. Then consumer's taste and preference. Fifth is the income distribution. Then total population of the region. Seventh will be the consumer's wealth. Then credit availability, government policy, past level of demand, and past level of income. These are the important determinants for the market of demand. In the traditional theory of demand, they have concentrated on the four determinants, that is, price of the commodity, price of the other commodities, income, and taste. But in recent years, the other factors have been introduced in theory of demand. Then theory of demand examines only the final consumer demand for durables and non-durables. That is, it concentrates only on the final consumer demand. And one more point of the traditional theory was that it will concentrate only demand in the one market in isolation from conditions of in the other market. One more next assumption of this traditional theory was that the firm sells products directly to the final consumer. But these assumptions were not working in the modern business world. Another drawback of traditional theory is that it does not deal with the demand for investment goods and nor with the demand for intermediate products. The total demand in an economy can be classified as final demand and intermediate demand. Again, final demand can be subdivided into consumer's demand and demand for investment good. But the traditional theory concentrated only on the consumer demand, which was only the fraction of total demand in the whole economy. So let us see with the theory of consumer behavior. The traditional theory of demand, it starts with the examination of behavior of consumer. Here, they assume that market demand is the summation of demand of all individual consumers. Then again, the traditional theory assumed that consumer is rational, that is, in a given income and ongoing market prices of various commodities, he plans to spend the income, that consumer plans to spend his income such that he attains the highest possible satisfaction or utility. This they have named as axiom of utility maximization. Then in traditional theory, they also assume that consumer has the full knowledge of information relevant to his decision. That is, he has complete knowledge of available commodities, prices, and his income. Then in order to attain the objective of highest satisfaction or maximum satisfaction, consumer must be able to compare the utility of various baskets of goods which he can buy through his income. So for studying the consumer theory, there are two approaches which were for comparison of utilities. One is cardinalistic approach and ordinalistic approach. In cardinalistic approach, they postulated that utility is measurable. Then the various economists gave various suggestions for measurement of utility. under certainty, that is when they know have consumers have the complete knowledge of market condition and income. Some economists suggested that utilities measure can be measured in monetary units, like the amount of money the consumer is willing to sacrifice to get the another unit of that commodity. Likewise, the utility is measurable. Some suggested that utility can be measured by subjective units called utils. In ordinalistic school, they believed that utility is not measurable, but it is we can give an ordinal magnitude. That is, consumer need not specify the units of utility, but he has to be able to rank the basket of good according to his preference. That which basket of good give him maximum satisfaction. That is, he must be able to determine the order of preference among the different bundle of goods. Then under ordinal theories, we have two approaches again. One is indifference curve approach and reveal preference hypothesis. These all approaches we'll be studying in detail in the upcoming sessions. Now let us in detail see about the cardinal utility theory. The assumptions of cardinal utility theory was, first main assumption was rationality. That is, consumer is rational. He aims to get the maximum satisfaction or maximum utility under given income and market prices. Second was the utility is measurable. That is, utility is cardinal concept. And the most convenient way to measure utility is money. Utility is measured in monetary units. That is, money that consumer is prepared to pay to purchase the another unit of commodity. The third assumption was constant marginal utility of money. Now, as money is used to measure the utility, it is necessary that the marginal utility of money should be constant, because if marginal utility of money changes, or if as the income changes, the measuring rod of utility, it will become like an elastic ruler, which is inappropriate for the measurement. Then the fourth assumption was diminishing marginal utility. The cardinalistic school, they believe that, or they assumed that the utility gained from successive units of commodity diminishes. Right? When consumer goes on purchase the, or he consume higher and higher amount of commodity, the utility derived from additional consumption of an unit goes on decreasing. This is known as axiom of diminishing marginal utility. The last assumption was that total utility of basket of goods depend on the quantity of individual commodities. That is, if there are n commodities in a bundle with quantities of x1, x2, x3, xn respectively, then total utility is function of quantity of x1, x2, x3 up to xn. And let us see how at what point the consumer is in equilibrium according to the cardinal approach. Now, for simple level, let us consider the single commodity X. Then consumer can either buy X quantity, or he can retain his money income Y. Under this condition, consumer is said to be equilibrium when marginal utility of X is equated to the market price of X, that is Px. Symbolically, we can say MUX, that is marginal utility of X, is equal to price of X. Then if marginal utility of X is greater than its price, then consumer can increase his welfare or satisfaction by purchasing more units of X. This, when this marginal utility is greater than price, he can come to equilibrium by purchasing more unit of X. Similarly, when this marginal utility is less than the price, then consumer can attain highest satisfaction by cutting down the quantity of X, so that he can keep more of the income unspent. Therefore, he attains maximum utility when marginal utility of X is equal to price of X. Now, if there are more than one commodities, then condition of equilibrium will be MUX divided by price of X, that is marginal utility of X divided by price of X, will be equal to marginal utility of Y divided by price of Y, which is equal to marginal utility of N, that is commodity N divided by price of commodity N. Then utility derived from spending an additional unit of money must be the same for all commodities. This is explained in this formula. Then if consumer derives greater utility from one commodity, he has to increase his welfare or satisfaction by spending more on that commodity and less on the other until this equilibrium condition is fulfilled. Now let us see derivation of demand through cardinal approach. The derivation of demand is based on axiom of diminishing marginal utility. The marginal utility of X may be given by line with the negative slope. Geometrically, marginal utility is the slope of total utility function. U is equal to function of quantity of X. That is, this is the total utility curve. That is, it starts increasing at decreasing rate and then it starts to fall. The marginal utility is slope of total utility curve. Now, according to marginal utility of X declines continuously and it becomes negative beyond the quantity X. You can see here beyond the quantity X, the marginal utility has become negative because here total utility is decreasing. Now, if marginal utility is measured in monetary units, we have said that it is utility is measured in monetary units, then demand curve will be identical to the positive segment of marginal utility curve. This is the positive segment. That this is the demand curve. Let us see at X1, the marginal utility is MU1. Now, if consumer purchase X1 quantity of commodity X, then its marginal utility is MU1, which is equal to the price P1. That is, hence, at price P1, consumer purchase X1 quantity of commodity X. Likewise, when consumer purchase X2 quantity, marginal utility is MU2, which is equal to price P2. That is, at price P2, consumer buys X2 units of commodity and so on. The negative section of marginal utility curve does not form a demand curve because negative quantities does not make any sense in the economics. Now, price cannot be expressed in negative. So, only the positive segment of marginal utility curve is the demand curve of the consumer. Then there are some drawbacks of this cardinal approach. First main drawback is that the assumption of cardinal utility, that is the satisfaction derived from the various commodities cannot be measured objectively. That is, Walras has given the subjective unit utils, but it does not provide the satisfactory solution. Then second drawback was assumption of constant utility of money is unrealistic because as income increases, the marginal utility of money changes. Thus, money cannot be used as the measuring rod because the utility of money itself is changing, then we cannot use it as the measuring rod. Third drawback was the diminishing marginal utility. The assumption of diminishing marginal utility was established from introspection, and it is a psychological law which must be taken for granted. That's all for today's session. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the comment section or message me on my Telegram group, EcoTalks. The further approaches for cardinal theory, that is indifference curve approach and revealed preference theory, will be covered in the upcoming sessions. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.